Hey guys, my name's Mike, and I'm going to crank out a quick reality shifting video that is going to be the last reality shifting video that you will ever need. So, you were there when it happened back in 2020, the pandemic. The entire world shut down. Millions of young people trapped in their bedroom with nothing but time, and TikTok stumbled upon something extraordinary. I was one of them, and I'm sure you must have been too. Reality shifting videos exploded across social media. Teenagers claiming that they'd shifted to Hogwarts, to Anime World, to the Marvel Universe, to realities where they were dating their favorite celebrities. The methods were simple. Count to 100. Visualize and believe. And here's the thing that I got banned for talking about, and moreover censored for bringing new life to the party, which you're gonna get in this video. The thing that nobody there talks about is that some of them actually do it. Notice I said some of them. Not a majority, not even a significant percentage, but enough that the phenomenon couldn't be dismissed as pure fantasy. Enough that millions of people tried to replicate their success. And you probably tried too. I know I did. Maybe, like me, you spent months perfecting your script, laying in specific positions, listening to subliminals for hours. And maybe you got close, maybe you felt the symptoms, experienced the void, and had dreams so vivid that they seemed real. But none of this was actually shifting, if you even got that at all. Most likely not. And you just joined the majority of us who tried everything, followed every method, and remained exactly where we started. And here's the thing that those early shifters didn't realize, the ones who actually succeeded, that they hadn't discovered a new technique. They had accidentally stumbled upon fragments of the most ancient technology known to human consciousness, technology that shamans have used for millennia, that mystery schools guarded as their most sacred secret, that even today's actors, writers, and yes, the mystics and Illuminati behind Hollywood have been unconsciously accessing. And they've been doing it for thousands of years. This is the technology of story walking, the art of using narrative as a literal bridge between dimensions. But the shifting community has, by and large, been doing it wrong. Without proper understanding, without the precision and scientific method that turns random success into repeatable results. Most people who try to shift never actually succeed because they're using broken fragments. These ancient technologies have been brutalized and mutilated into bite-sized 6-second memes designed to replicate on TikTok and Instagram. And if you're unfortunate enough to find one of them and have it screw up your journey, you'll take a piece of this and a piece of that, and it's just a spiritual buffet where none of them offer the complete solution. And if you were one of the lucky ones, well, I guess you had something within you that was just destined for greatness. But today, what you're about to learn is the complete unbroken lineage of this technology and the original formulas and the reasons for why it works that those TikTokers accidentally touched and refined through millennia and rebranded as reality shifting. It's real. I'm not saying it's not. It's absolutely real. But It's a rebrand of an old ass technology. So masters actually understood what they were doing, had refined these things, and we're going to get into what that's about. And the crux of it is it's about the story. It's about getting into the story. It's about the countless people telling tales around a campfire. It's about the actors in Hollywood. It's about the personas in the oldest of stage plays that took on a role, that put on a mask, put on a costume, and played their part. Actually, not too differently from how each and every one of us play our part in this world every single day as the personas. Persona means mask. It means putting on a mask. So to be a genuine person means to be a genuine fake. Amazing that we're all acting on the cosmic world stage. And I'm about to point some things out to you that you've seen your entire life, that when you look at it the way I'm about to show you, you'll never look at it the same way again. The Romans had this technology. The Colosseum wasn't an arena for spectacle. It was a massive reality-shifting apparatus. Gladiators who survived long enough reported entering trance states where they felt possessed by the spirits of legendary warriors. The crowd, experiencing life or death drama with absolute intensity, would collectively enter altered states of consciousness. Roman historians have documented strange phenomena at these events. Mass visions shared by thousands of spectators, reports of time distortion, accounts of people claiming to have fought alongside the gladiators they'd only watched from the stands. And the gladiators themselves developed techniques that sound remarkably similar to modern reality shifters. They'd spend hours before the fights visualizing themselves as mythical heroes and assuming the identities of gods and legendary warriors, using specific breathing techniques to dissociate from their human limitations. So they were channeling archetypal forces. And it just goes on and on and on throughout history. You had Shakespeare, the metaphysical theater. The first actor who played Hamlet was said to continue speaking in the prince's voice for weeks after the play closed. Audiences experienced their own transformation. Theatergoers would emerge from performances claiming to have gained insights into their own lives, that they'd somehow accessed the wisdom of characters they'd witnessed, with some reporting dreams where they continued the stories, living out alternative endings or exploring unwritten scenes. Isn't that interesting? Reality shifting in Shakespeare's day. So Aleister Crowley knew this, and he taught it as a deliberate method of spiritual science in the Assumption of God forms in Liber O, where he taught different postures of gods and hierophants, where taking on a specific mudra and behaving in a certain manner would actually make your vessel suitable for the invocation of that spirit. Now, the difference between invocation and evocation, evocation is you conjure the spirit to presence outside of yourself. Like the spirit's over there and I'm interacting with it, versus the invocation is I clear myself so that the spirit can inhabit and I take on the role of that spirit. And that may sound a little jarring or maybe worrisome, that you're going to give power to something that isn't you by practicing invocation. Yet please examine your life and notice that you do this every day. You and every single person on planet Earth, in the cosmos, actually do this every single day. When a police officer puts on a uniform and a badge, they gain the power of the state and the lineage of all law enforcement officers before them and the weight of the collective awareness of what that means. And they take that on in their power to enforce the law, take down bad guys, and ensure domestic peace and tranquility, ideally. And some get carried away, like in the Stanford prison experiment, where you had college students, just regular people without any notable psychological defects, were split into two groups. The prisoners and the wardens, and they were given this like mock prison where they stayed for a week, and it degenerated faster than Lord of the Flies, where the prisoners started acting subservient, lost all self-confidence, and the prison wardens got all sadistic and started doing evil things to the prisoner. They had to terminate the experiment, and that having done that experiment caused these psychiatric associations to draw a line in the sand where this type of experimentation is considered unethical, and in textbooks this is now given as an example of so many things, one being an unethical type of study to do, and another being that you can literally make people become something that they weren't before, just by virtue of putting on the mask, putting on the persona, assuming the role. This happened to Heath Ledger when he played the Joker, and why he ultimately, because he locked himself away for months and months and months, journaling the innermost thoughts of the Joker in a dark room, practicing the mannerisms of the Joker. He became the Joker. His sister noted later on that when he'd call, sometimes he would forget to drop the Joker persona and just be Heath. And this is incredibly disturbing, right? But likewise, you can assume the persona of constructive identities, but stuff like this makes the news, and it's easy to pull numerous examples like this. Like he started, getting different facial features, like the lines etched in his face became different, and yeah. Same with Ashton Kutcher when he was studying for the role of Steve Jobs. He started practicing fruitarian veganism and developed a pancreatic condition like Steve Jobs, and had to stop the special Steve Jobs diet just because it became too much for him. So these things are real. As when you assume the role, you actually become the role. So you're watching a stage play. You can look at it from two different perspectives. You can look at it like, I am here sitting in the audience, they're over there, they're acting a part. That guy screwed up his line, and the CGI isn't quite what I thought it would be in this movie, and what were the writers thinking with this part, and there's a plot hole over here, and there's a continuity error over there. And you can view it as the play, you can see through it, which you should be able to assume both perspectives, by the way, in your meditations. But the other side of the coin is that you get drawn in by the role that they play, that they play the role so well and so convincingly that they themselves believe it, and they love that role so much that they bring you on that journey along with them, and you start to believe it. And you become an observer in this quote-unquote fictional world, and you lose yourself to the observation of this stage play, movie, book, script, what have you. Enormous precedent for this, the assumption of roles. And this is sorcery, this is magic, this is cross-disciplinary in so many ways it would blow your mind. But we're going to get directly into the method. And before I discovered this method, I was in an awful startup company. It was going nowhere. It was run by a sort of charismatic founder that just took everyone for a ride, lied about who he was, and just made everyone miserable, was self-destructive, had a substance abuse problem, and I lost all my money. I didn't have a place to live, and like others, I was drawn into the reality shifting and shift talker ethos during the pandemic, and then I needed a job, but I lost all my money. I didn't have a job, and then there was no such thing as jobs anymore, and none of the methods were working for me for reality shifting. When I did find a job, it wound up being this dead end thing that went nowhere for until recently and ate my time and happiness. But yeah, I tried all the things that they usually tell you to do in the reality shifting community that didn't work. The Raven method, like you're gonna lie in a starfish position, count to 100, and script your new reality until you fall asleep and wake up in your shifted reality. Problem is, it keeps you locked in observer mode. You're watching the play, you're not in the play. You're watching the movie, you're not in the movie. You're reading the book, you're not in the book. There's distance between you and the DR. There's no emotional tractor beam. Reference to Star Trek. I'll talk about what I mean by the emotional tractor beam as an amplifier in a moment. It lacks the persona invocation that we talked about with Heath Ledger, Ashton Kutcher, the police officer, Stanford Prison Experiment, you name it. And it really only works for people who unconsciously do the self-induction of immersion. So they don't know they're doing it, so it works for them, and then they report success, and everybody thinks it's the method. Well, the method was only a piece of the puzzle. Then there's the pillow method. I tried this one. You write affirmations on a piece of paper, put it under your pillow, and it becomes magic, and you sleep while your subconscious rewrites itself. I don't know. Like maybe you put it under your pillow and you hope for the Tooth Fairy or Santa Claus to come take you away to your desired reality. That it's low signal. The physical act of writing is symbolic, but there's no emotional amplification. You need to take it up an octave, and that doesn't do that. It's very passive. It's very hopeful, and we're not in the business of hoping. We're in the business of results. And there's no neural entrainment. You're falling asleep without shifting your nervous system's frequency. It's just deepening your attachment to the current timeline, because even writing it, you're reaffirming that you're not in your desired reality, and it's passive suggestion. So you're not actively embodying what it is that you want your reality to be, the desired reality. So it is a symbolic anchor. It's anchoring it in this reality, but it's not actually shifting you into it. It's not bridging the gap. Then there's the scripting method. This is my favorite of the shitty methods. And the promise is you write detailed stories about your DR to lock it in. And it fails because it's mental simulation instead of astral immersion. And the method that we teach is the astral immersion method, not the simulation method. We're already in a simulation. We're not going to simulate more. We're just going to immerse ourselves in a different part of the simulation. Stop trying to do a meta simulation within a simulation. So yeah, they're just writing exercises, and they use the logical mind. So if you have a good corpus callosum, you have musical training before the age of 7, or you have deep meditational practice, you may naturally bridge the gap between the left and right hemispheres, where the left is the logical side and the right is the imaginative, creative side. So this writing exercises are sort of, they can be just logical. So you're just locking yourself into that side of thinking, and it's great for clarity and thinking through what it is that you want, getting clear about that. But it's mapping terrain, but it doesn't. You don't walk through the portal. So what do we do instead? Well, I wound up getting the ability to reality shift, getting these things to lock in, but also sort of unconsciously with trial and error. I had stacks of journals like this thick, and I did hours and hours of breath work, pranayama, yoga, magic ritual. I studied Crowley, Liber E, Liber O, Liber Veljagorum. You name it, I tried it, and I had a lot of meditational training under my belt, Qigong, the works. But I finally broke it down into a method that is going to get you to a place where you can do the same thing that I did through trial and error, but just following a series of steps. And you got to immerse yourself into it. You really have to throw your own life energies into this. But this is a real method, and it will work. And I've gotten a lot of people to have the shifting type of results that they're looking for. Whether it's about money, connecting with their star families, or just changing little aspects of the current reality, full-blown shifts. This method will get you there. It's just a question of applying it. So what I like about this is that you don't have to lie to yourself in order to make it work. It's a sliding scale from steps 1 to 5. Okay? This is the 5-step framework that's going to lock your consciousness onto the exact frequency of your reality. I call it the phase lock method. And step number 1 is detecting the leak, recognizing the portal, the movies, the books, the stage plays, the stories. They're not fictional per se. In this reality, we call them fictional. But what they really are is an intrusion from that reality. It's a leak from that reality into this one. And step 1 starts by noticing the leak. So you already have your desired reality. You already know what it is. But have you really pondered upon the fact that the desired reality is already spilling over into this one? There's a portal. That's why you heard the story. That's why somebody wrote a book about it. Stories aren't just made up. J.K. Rowling didn't just think of Harry Potter. It's archetypal. It exists somewhere. So, the first step is digging deep into that, and you find the leak. Notice how it spills over into this reality. It may manifest as a magnetic pull when you watch a movie and it grips you, or a novel possesses your thoughts. You're resonating with it. And the intensity of your emotional response is a measurement of your proximity to that alternate reality. And when the portal is close, your body already knows, and you feel the tractor beam activate. Reality shifting begins by identifying which stories activate you the strongest. Those are the doors. The stronger the emotional voltage, the closer the timeline. So this is spending more time on selecting your DR or understanding the nature of your DR. Spending a lot of time trying to locate the leak. It's the best way I can explain this. It's a little abstract, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. So once you've got that, step 2 is aligning with the persona. This is the invocation of the mask. Emotion is the compass, but embodiment is the key. Once you've located the portal, you choose to you choose the identity inside it. The protagonist whose lived experience already carries the outcome you seek. Persona is Latin for mask. It's not pretend, it's possession. You're letting the current behind the story enter your field. Actors, shamans, witches, and magicians all use this. Heath Ledger invoked the Joker and was devoured by it. Theosophists call it the God form, assumption. So you're going to breathe, speak, and move as that persona until the boundary between you and them disappears. Step 3 is amplifying the tractor beam, emotional immersion. Emotion is energy. It's one of the strongest and most accessible forms of energy that we have access to in this world. And when you just go about your day with your emotions scattered and being pulled here and there and reacting to the news and to your boss and to your teacher and whatever, aren't they an asshole? You're just letting your energy get scattered. But when you concentrate it into a laser beam, and this is one of the things that our Destiny engine helps you with the brainwave entrainment, is focusing that emotion into a laser beam. You can check the link in the description for access to that. And by the way, that'll help you with all the steps from 1 to 5, and you'll see why when we're done. But instead of passively consuming the story, you're going to be fueling the portal with your emotions. So your emotions, when concentrated like a laser beam, have more power to affect the change that you're seeking than if they were scattered like a lamp. So you know, a lamp, like the rays of light go everywhere. Laser beam, focus. But your emotions and alignment with the portal are what activate the sequence. So it just starts by noticing, and then feeling, and then amplifying the feeling. Step 4 is stabilizing the field, symbolic anchoring. Every shift requires a structural reinforcement or you'll snap back. Witches, sorcerers, and shamans have always used symbolic links. They could be hair, bodily fluids, clothing, sigils, music, talismans, to hold a reality open, anchoring it in this one. And that's what the writing on a paper does well, because at least you're anchoring something in this reality, but it's only a piece of the puzzle. So if witches were hexing somebody, they would take an article of clothing or a lock of hair, and they would do some voodoo on it, and they could cause the person to get a sickness or have good luck or bad luck. But it's spooky action at a distance. And for distance doesn't really matter, because all things are one and all things are right here, right now, and not even just in this reality, but across all realities. There's no distance in space-time, but there's also no distance really in 5D or 6D. So if you step into the 5th dimension, there's still no distance. You get it? So The reason they would use the symbolic link is so they could act at a distance. Their consciousness can lock into the other consciousness. I had a roommate a while back that we didn't get along at all. We didn't understand each other, and he was really annoyed by me. But we were out for a walk one night, and he was a little. He didn't actually have a jacket for whatever reason, so he took one of mine on this adventure. And after about an hour of having this walk through Chicago, he said to me that by wearing my jacket, he felt that he understood me better, that he kind of knows how I think and how I feel, just by virtue of putting on the clothing and assuming the role, right? Like we talked about how cops putting on the uniform, or a doctor putting on the white coat, actually anchors them in that role. Well, it actually anchored him in Mike consciousness. And he understood the currents of my thought better, because the article of clothing carried my essence. So that's why you can act on something at a distance. Though for reality shifters, the equivalent would be stacking sensory and symbolic cues from the target timeline into your environment. So visual artifacts, images, objects, sound as music, voices, and ambient tones, words as mantra, dialogue and quotes, or somatic triggers like gestures and breathing patterns. And this is another thing Destiny Engine does really well, because you don't necessarily have the ability to grab the actual Iron Man suit from the Marvel universe. But what you can do is do a voice clone of, I forgot his name, Tony Stark, or whoever's playing those roles in those roles as they're playing the role, and clone the voice with AI of people that are playing the role well, and then while you're layering in the neural entrainment binaural beats that drop you into the suggestible transition state where you can phase lock into the desired reality, you play back affirmations created by AI in the voice of the person in the desired reality. So you're using their voice as the somatic and auditory anchor, the structural link to that reality. Except now, instead of observing the movie, you involve yourself in the movie, because you can have AI rewrite the script and use their voice like a sock puppet. And it carries the resonance of Iron Man, because the voice clone is derived from Iron Man. Do you get what I'm saying? You kind of track what I'm throwing down here? Is that you can amplify that, your emotional resonance to that, clone your own voice, clone their voice, and create a dialogue in the form of affirmations, where it's back and forth between the characters and you. And do this as you're drifting off to sleep. Yeah, screw the notepad wish list for Santa Claus. Like this is 2025, and we've got better tech than that. So you don't actually need physical artifacts, because digital artifacts work just as well, and they're quantum anchors, so they reinforce your alignment and keep you inside the channel when your focus wavers. So if you don't have years of meditation, it's difficult to hold that intention with the right emotional amplification, or the right emotional amplitude, long enough to actually do the shift. So these kinds of assists will make the difference in you getting there. So step 5, walk the merge, embody the integration. So the shift completes when the role plays you back. And at some point, the portal's no longer out there, because you become the portal, and the story lives through you. And in so doing, if you're not growing, you're shrinking. If you're if you're not improving, you're declining. So you must continue to act, speak, and make decisions as the version of yourself from that reality. So micro behaviors are critical. The way that you breathe, hold yourself, dress, respond, and choose should match the target persona. And this is how you collapse probability, by replacing the observer identity with the protagonist identity, and the universe will rearrange itself to mirror the new narrative. So that's the 5-step framework. This is for your entertainment purposes only, so don't try this at home unless you're doing it for your entertainment only. And this is the exact framework, though, that has helped me to get to where I am, with the people in my life that I want in my life, and the income that I want in my life, and the places that I want to be. I'm able to go, I'm able to travel, I don't have to work my day job anymore. That's gone. I have, maybe I'm older school, I call it manifestation, but essentially manifestation is doing your reality shifts into the current reality. So a complete reality shift is exactly the same thing, except you're just replacing your entire current reality. And they talk about perma shifting and whether you intend to come back ever. So I'll leave that up to you, and I'm excited to hear where your journey takes you. Drop a comment below if this has helped you, or any questions that you have, or you just want to argue with each other. I'd love to see you argue in the comments over semantics, or if you've ever shifted or had trouble shifting, I want to know about it. Like the video if this helped you at all. It helps us a ton with the algorithm, and we're able to reach more people that way. You can subscribe to the channel, and there's a lot more content like this. This one's been very theoretical. We have a lot of practical stuff as well, and we're moving towards creating more videos just like this one every single day on Destiny Engine Official. And for right now only, you can steal a whole week of access to our proprietary software service framework that does literally all of this for you. You collaborate with the AI chatbot to design your reality the way that you want it, and then it crafts the custom meditation in your own voice, in the voice of your characters from your desired reality, to be exactly what you want it to be, and for you to become exactly who you want to become. So all that self-brainwashing technology that the elites have had for decades, that you should have had all along, we're putting the remote control back in your hands for just $1. So the link to that is in the description. And again, my name is Mike. This is Destiny Engine Official, signing off for now. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Namaste.